March 18th or 19th? 18th.
18.
Oh, yeah, yes, it was St. Patty's Day. Tonight, we are looking to talk to the deputy police chief and the fire chief on their capital committee requests. I would ask that everyone, including on the phone, everyone stick to the agenda. And if you have any questions for these folks, please feel free to ask any questions. But let's stick to the agenda tonight, and then we can all get out of here. All right.
So,
Who would like to go first?
how quick are
You gonna buck up? Rock, paper, scissors? All right. I've got my high blood pressure medicine tonight.
So for the members that are on the teleconference, the treasurer is actually scanning these in documents and emailing to them, so they should have it eventually. So my capital project this year, we talked about this last year as well, it's the replacement of Tower 1, which is a 1997 HME Schmiel 85-foot tower ladder, to replace it with a 100-foot tower ladder. You all have a packet, I'm just gonna read through it just so the folks at home can understand what we're talking about. So the original cost for the tower truck we have in 1996 was approximately $486,000. The special town meeting in 96, the town voters approved the purchase of 2 pumpers, a tower ladder, forest fire truck, and a service truck totaling $1.2 million, which was bonded through the ambulance account for 15 years. Unfortunately, all those apparatus have aged. One of the engines was already replaced. The tower truck I wanted to do last, but it's cost me just about $100,000 in repairs, $90,000 in repairs over the last several years, including this year, not including this year, which is about $13,000. To replace all these together would have been $2.3 million, which obviously is a huge amount of money. So engine 1 was replaced in 2017. That's all set. Looking to replace the tower truck now, and then in about 4 or 5 years from now, replace engine 2, which would be 30 years old at that point. NFPA recommends for fire apparatus frontline pieces for 15 years, then 5 years in reserve to be replaced every 20 years. Obviously, the town can't afford to do that, and we don't put the mileage on them and the use like, your bigger intercities might do. So I'm looking at a 24-year, replacement cycle where we're not doing this all at one time, but we're gonna do it over the course of, 5 to 6 years, depending on what the fiscal picture is during a given year. It could go all off a year. So the current tower ladder failed its aerial ladder test on December 9th, 2019, causing the apparatus to be placed out of service, awaiting even more repairs. It's since been repaired, however, it's waiting on one part that has really nothing to do with the ladder itself, so it's back in service. But there's a waterway issue that I have to repair, but that doesn't limit it being able to be used. So it currently is in service. The cost to replace a tower ladder today for a 100-foot tower ladder is between $1.2 and $1.4 million. The average cost is of $12.04 per year per 4,500 households for 24 years is about $3.87 per person per year based on our 14,000 residents for 24 years. The purchase would not come from taxation, but from the ambulance account, and with speaking with the town administrator, borrowing against the stabilization account, which would be repaid over 4 to 6 years from the ambulance account. So in essence, we wouldn't be using capital funds to purchase this. We'd be using funds that, the fees that were generated through ambulance transports. Well, that's how it's gonna be done. Fees
Like a
generated
town
through
loan
ambulance
kind of thing.
transports. I'm sorry?
A town loan type of thing,
Yeah, kinda like that.
just not bonding it.
Correct. So it wouldn't go out to bond, it would be paying no interest. They currently have one in stock right now down in Louisiana that I was supposed to fly down and look at, but I'm not getting on a plane, so that's not happening. And if that one sells, they have another one that's gonna be built that'd be ready to go. It has a 150-day build time. So either way, if this went through it, if you approve it and it goes through a town meeting, we're looking at, it could be like an immediate delivery or 150 days.
Okay.
So within 180 days, it would be in service to
What's
the
the
town.
difference between the 1.2 and the 1.4?
It's just a range, that, it depends on what
Oh.
options you get. I'm not going, big options on it.
Right.
I'm looking at just a stock truck that's already been built.
Okay.
If that's
I didn't know if
possible.
there was some specific equipment or there were,
I mean,
you know,
you
that
could
you're
have a Cadillac if you
foregoing or.
wanted to, but we don't need a Cadillac. But they
No.
have a stock truck right now
We
that's,
need 1.2.
that's $1,186,000.
Yep.
And that's available today, but it's also, anyone in the country can buy that.
Yep,
So it might not be available come town meeting, and if
right.
town meeting is delayed, pushed out due to this coronavirus, then
Oh,
it's a pretty good chance it's gonna be gone. So
Right.
the next one is 1.275 million,
Okay,
because it goes up 3 to 5% every year.
okay.
It is it has to be kind of a custom truck, and when I say custom, so ours technically now is a rear mount with a ladder that sits over the cab.
Okay,
But that has to be under 12 feet because we have 12-foot doors. The one I'm gonna buy is a mid-mount, so there's no custom involvement to it, but it does cost a little bit more because it's a mid-mount
okay.
for whatever structural they have to do to it.
The building,
Yeah, the price is a little bit higher, but it won't have any problems fitting in the building either. And it'll have a 100-foot ladder with a 99-foot horizontal reach compared to our 85-foot ladder that is a 78-foot horizontal.
so you are getting some upgrades in this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Plus, back in 97, 96, the town meeting, when the town meeting approved the purchase of all this equipment, we didn't have these huge colonials that we have down in Captain's Way now, which has a minimum 75-foot setback, so technically the truck we have now, you could park in the street and it wouldn't even make the house.
right.
So we are gaining something, other than just having to replace the piece of apparatus that we currently have. We are gaining reach, we are gaining warranty. It comes with a 15-year warranty. I believe you'll find that actually on the capital project request form, on the back page. Comes with a 10-year warranty in the cab and body structural, the waterway and seals, 15 years in the torque box and stabilizer, and 25 years for the aerial structural, which is good because in the truck we have now, I've already had to replace some of the structural members of the aerial. So this would be a 25-year warranty on that. So theoretically, if anything ever happened to the aerial for the life that we'd have it, it wouldn't cost us anything, which is a plus. The impact of the operating budget, there is no impact. I already budget money to do the testing that has to be done annually from the NFPA.
Okay,
And one of my main concerns with getting a tower truck, opposed to getting a ladder truck, is the central school. So God forbid something should ever happen to that school on the second floor, and that there's a room or two of the children that can't evacuate that building for whatever reason. At least the tower truck could go to that window, and I could take half a classroom out at a time, put them down, put the thing back up, and evacuate the other half.
Okay.
Whereas a straight stick ladder, which is just a ladder truck, it's one at a time and time consuming, and time is not really on their side when it comes to having to do rescues over ladders. And a tower truck is much safer to work off of than a straight stick aerial ladder.
So Tim, how many years are you looking at financing this out for?
It won't be financed, so it'll be purchased with at least $700,000 from the ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation at town meeting. If there's $800,000 available, then it'll be $800,000. If the truck cost, we'll just call it 1.3, so I'll have to borrow 5 or potentially 6,
And how many years are you gonna pay the 5 or 6?
between 4 and 6
Through the
years.
ambulance, or so forth. And now, just because, like, through the years, you come with us and we fund a lot through the ambulance fund.
Right.
Are you,
So I did a whole spreadsheet out about 7 or 8 years, and the lowest that account will go, based on a minimum 1% increase per year in fees, the lowest that account would go would be about the low 200s.
and
And we've always tried to keep about 200 to
so
250,000.
you're comfortable with it?
Right.
And then the trucks that you have now? What is
So
there
we
any-
have a brand-new engine 1, which is
No, I mean,
20.
the ones that we're replacing,
Yeah.
is there any value to that?
yeah.
So this truck here, there
Resell.
might be a $50,000 value to it, possibly.
Through the company that we'd be purchasing?
Yeah, well, yes and no. They don't really do it. They have a company that they use. that would put it out to market, so to say.
They auction it.
And not even so much auction. If I auction, I'm not gonna get anything for it.
But you could,
No,
There's
but
just
the
people
company-
out there that
the
look
company
for
that'll-
old.
they're
The
gonna
company
give
that
you
you're
a,
buying from uses an auction house.
they're
They'll
gonna
take
Like
give
you
you a
did the last
value,
one.
and then they'll do what they're gonna do with it.
Yeah, the last one, they wanna give me 5,000, but I actually auctioned that myself, I got 7,800.
Okay.
They're telling me I could see maybe upwards of 50,000. Because the chassis in this truck is wonderful, it's a beautiful chassis. It's everything above the chassis, is the
Oh, I-
continuous
I
problem, you know what I
understand.
mean?
I'm just trying to understand.
But so-
One of the other things you just said, that so it was out of commission for a while this year.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been out of commission for a while over the last 3 or 4
So how
years.
are we protecting without it?
Knocking on wood and calling mutual aid?
So that goes to my question, just as maybe somebody who's watching this on TV at home. I mean, it's kind of thinking outside the box a little bit, but you've got your Bridgewaters, right? So you've got Bridgewater, you got West Bridgewater, you got East Bridgewater. Would it ever get to the point where somehow, if West Bridgewater's is 4 years old, or Bridgewater's was 6 years old, ever do a collaboration where we might only need 2 of these pieces of equipment in the surrounding towns, and, you know, East Bridgewater pays a certain portion of the bond that goes into the other communities, just from a cost-saving standpoint. It's kind of a business look at something.
Right, no, I understand.
And I'm not trying to say we don't need one or need one, it's just, and I get it that if something happened at the central school, it's 200 yards away versus 4 miles down the street. But is that ever considered?
So I have automatic aid agreements with all the surrounding towns to bolster like my on-duty staffing. If I have 5 people on duty and 2 happen to be out with a medical call, I only have 3 left. So we have automatic aid agreements that, there's 4 fire districts in this town. And whatever district it happens to be, that town comes in automatic, if they have the staffing available, because, you know, everyone's in the same boat that East Bridgewater is, with the exception of maybe Bridgewater, where they have, 10 or 12 on per shift. Most other towns around, they have run between 4 and 5 per shift like we do. And most other towns like East Bridgewater is heavy on EMS, where there's times during the day when I'll have 1 person back. We haven't really breached the subject so much of having, sharing apparatus amongst the towns. We did talk
Dispatching, right?
we talked many years ago about, with the retired Bridgewater chief, about if we could have, 1 firefighter from each one of the towns, the 3 Bridgewaters, just to staff a ladder truck, but it didn't go anywhere. And obviously, you'd have to have MOAs and everything
Do
else.
they have a ladder truck now, in both towns? West Bridgewater and Bridgewater?
West Bridgewater has a yeah, every town around us has an aerial device.
It doesn't go by population to the town?
It doesn't, no. Every town has an aerial device. It's, hate to say it, it's the way it's always been, and
Yeah, well,
unless
safety.
something goes,
Safety in
drastically
an
changes, and we move from a municipal fire department to a countywide or regional fire department, I don't
So your
see.
tower truck is your truck you're using more often?
I'm not using that tower truck as much as I need to use that, or would like to use that tower truck, because my fear is that if I just use it for the calls it's supposed to go, that I want it to go on, and I use it and it breaks, and then I don't have it for the call I really need it for. That's my concern. This truck should have been going on to all, fire alarm calls, or commercial buildings, whatever, it should be going, and it's not, because it's not reliable. And quite honestly, I'm just tired of paying money to it,
Can we talk ambulance fund for a second?
Yes.
And I don't know if this, I need to talk to Laura about the finance committee part. So you get 50,000 on the old truck, which would be great. We're just saying upwards, and it's a maybe.
Right.
But you're talking on the ambulance fund, keeping 200 to 250. That seems pretty low to me, just on history. What's considered, I guess, to be low to other towns, to our town? And I know that last year you contributed more to the town out of the ambulance fund for both 2019 and FY '20. So I guess, does it make sense to pay it back longer? Pay back the town longer? Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. So the ambulance account will be
I don't want it to be decimated
supplementing the
because of different
town's budget
things.
even more this coming fiscal year. Not, I mean, it was 685,000 last, this current fiscal year was 685.
Right,
Next year, it's slated to be 715,000, which is fine, because the percentage, the amount that we charge for ambulance billing for the fees for transports has gone up, so there's more revenue there.
right,
So what I'm trying to do, I don't want to sit there and have, $1.5 million hanging out in this account all day long.
agreed.
But I want to be able to use it for its intended purpose that it was
Exactly.
designed for,
Right.
but also kind of take the burden off taxation to say, listen, this money is available for this, which obviously would free up money capital-wise for all these other departments, is my way of thinking
Well, that's
about it.
kind of where I'm going, because
So-
really, it
so-
was built for the fire department or the ambulance emergency services,
It
let's
was.
call it. So it was built for that. My fear is that we keep relying on it, and obviously, again, this finance committee, but I just want to make sure that we're all safe, that we get what we need, and you're still able to function. I
I'm
guess
going
that's.
to leave this form with you. This, I didn't know that I had brought it with me. This is the breakdown I have of the projected revenue and expenditures from
Okay.
2020 through 2027.
Okay,
And I'm just going to briefly go down what the projected balance would be on July 1st of each fiscal year, meaning because on July 1st, all the money's transferred out into the budgets.
right,
So for 2021, even with these transfers, the projected balance would be 337,000 and some change.
okay,
2022, it would be 612,875. 2023, it would be 534,583, and that includes replacing ambulance one at a cost of about 350,000.
What about the other truck that
Truck.
we're gonna be doing in 4 years?
It's coming.
okay.
2024,
He's got it all mapped.
projected balance would be $802,308.
Okay,
Fiscal year '25 replaces an SUV. It replaces ambulance two. And the balance that year would be $631,000.
okay,
And then you got engine two's replacement,
So you're
which
pretty
I had to
good.
pull out one of the year. So engine two, which is FY '26, replace engine two, which is gonna approximately $675,000, I'm guessing. The last one was $550, that was in 2017, so we're almost 9 years later. The balance would be $216,000.
okay,
And then in FY '27, it jumps back up to $472.
Okay.
So I'm not playing a game, I don't want to call it a game, but I'm
No.
playing the numbers to say, if I budgeted this all correctly, then I'll be able to do everything I need to do, what the fund was intended to be set up for.
Right, for the
But also
ambulance, fire.
supplement this, and by the way, every year, beginning 2021, with the exception of 2022, the amount that would be removed, transferred from the ambulance account to the general fund, so to say, for salaries or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Right.
jumps up $15,000 each year. So it's going to contribute an additional $15,000 each year towards the general budget of the town.
okay,
Obviously with approval of the finance committee and all that, but when I make these things, I don't have people next to me saying, well, you should or shouldn't do that. I just going to give you the information, and, the town will do what they want to do with it.
correct.
I've always been under the, I've always believed that the ambulance account, it's there, it has money in it, it should contribute, it can contribute more to what the fire department needs. And try to not so much become self-sufficient, because we'll never be self-sufficient, because I can never fund my entire department with the revenue I make. But at least when it comes to these huge purchases, we have a fund
Great
available
applause, right.
that we don't have to go out to bond with it, we don't have to pay interest on it, and it's just there.
So do
So
we,
as a chairwoman, I'll give you that.
so do we know, to your point, over like the last 5 years, what have we used in the operating budget or whatever capital monies have we used out of the ambulance fund as an average?
So I can go back about 3 or 4 years ago, we were contributing, $450,000 went towards salaries or whatever. I wanted to hire an administrative lieutenant to do inspections and bolster the amount of manpower I have on during the day when we're busiest. And I spoke to the town administrator at the time, we decided that we'd contribute another 100,000. That would cover the salaries, vacations, holidays, and health insurance. So it jumped up to 550. And then we embarked on civilian dispatch as well last year, and that's when it jumped up to 685. And this year, it's gonna be 715. And next year, it'll be 715, and then after that, it'll go up $15,000 each year, which should help offset, contractual raises and all that might occur with, not so much with the firefighters, because they average, I think, like 30 to 35,000 a year just in contractual raises with steps and COLA. But I mean, it's at least helping out and contributing to, lessen the burden, so to say. And then to answer the other second half of your question, so it's bought the 3 ambulances we see now, every ambulance that's come before it. It, back in '96, bought, a whole fleet of fire apparatus, which it was bonded through the account. So that when the payment came in, it just was removed from the ambulance account, and, we paid interest on that. I don't like paying interest on things I don't have to.
Right.
I don't think anyone in this room would rather go out
And
and
this is a
spend it.
good plan. It's a good plan.
Right,
It is a really good.
It's a real good plan, and it's what it's for.
No big deal.
Right, I get that, it's just that if we had used monies out of that over the years, last 5 years that we've needed for other things, is this purchase
Cutting into that.
correct?
If I come back, I don't recall ever coming back to a special time meeting requesting more money because I overran.
No, not,
No,
No.
but this is the account that I would ask for it to come from.
you know where I'm coming from, right?
Right, so I think what Tim's trying to say is your money that you're going to be, we know revenues have increased, prices have increased. So take out the fire truck, for example. Are you still gonna be able to be on your track for
Oh, absolutely. You'll-
replacing everything else,
So
which is what this is saying?
in that form I just gave,
That's telling us.
the
what it is,
projections
yeah.
Yeah,
that,
and I
and-
think
and
this
that's-
kind of
those are-
says it out here, Tim.
those are conservative numbers from FY '22 on. FY '21, I can pretty much gauge what it's gonna be. FY '22
Yeah.
on, they're conservative because I only increased 1%. So with the new federal regulations that they want to put in place, you'll only be able to increase up to whatever Medicare increases, so maybe it's like 3.2% one year.
Right.
So it won't be 1, it'll be 3.2, which
Yeah.
means the revenue will only go up. I don't like to base it on what the actual number's gonna be, I always like to go lower and have a little bit more extra on the side to deal with.
Right.
So if something does come up, at least, I
you're
don't want a zero balance that account to be at.
So you're still able to do everything that you normally
Everything
did?
that needs to be done
and-
will
yeah,
still be
just
done.
to be clear.
And I'm still gonna, honestly, I applied for a grant for the ladder truck last year. I didn't get it.
Yep.
I was pretty much told if the thing wasn't built in the '70s and '80s, I'm not
You're not
getting
getting
one.
it, right.
But I've been successful with grants in the past, and I'm gonna pursue that every chance I get for whatever I need. That, the ambulance account normally would buy the life pack monitor defibrillators we use for, cardiac arrests or just, your regular chest pains. I got 2 out of a AFG grant for like $70,000 a couple of
Nice.
years back,
Right,
which
I
didn't
remember
have to
that.
use the ambulance account.
Right.
So, I mean, there's always something I'm trying to do to not use town money.
Right, to mitigate the cost.
But obviously, we have to have I don't call it a slush fund, but
No.
there has to be money in there, so if something
plan.
catastrophic,
Right.
I can say, listen, I need a new life pack, it's $35,000. But we have the money to do it still.
So theoretically, at 1.2, and you're gonna pay it off over 4 to 6, it's gonna cut into the ambulance fund $250,000 a year thereabouts?
No, only about 100,000. The first year he'll have,
Between $700,000 and
the
$800,000
first year
down
he'll be able
payment
to
from
do
the
that
ambulance
as a
account.
down payment, right?
And the rest, and then it'll be, but the 4 to 6, are you not gonna set it to what you plan on, how many years, or why 4 to 6, why not?
I'm saying
5
4 to
years
6
or-
because if,
In case something happens.
if it
So,
goes
but
like
that's the
this.
only part, so that you're kind of leaving a you know, a hypothetical.
If you want me to say I'll pay it back over 6
Well,
years,
if
and
you-
we can do
well,
it in
I would
4?
rather have a plan of like, you know what, you know, it's 5 years, and that 5 years is up, we get the second truck. You know, or the 4
It
years,
would
or
be,
whatever.
that would be, so that would be a year later anyways.
Right,
Um,
but if we had a plan, one was executed before we got into the other one.
Right, is the town administrator still there? Nope.
Yeah, because I think at some point, I'm fine with this, with your numbers here and stuff, it's fine.
Can you just read to me
I
on
sure
like,
can.
on 2023, what the repayment number is for, towards the stabilization fund? Excellent. Maintaining my distance.
Of course.
Yeah, so the repayment is an estimate, was about $100,000 per year.
Right.
So if I borrowed 600 from stabilization, it would take 600. But if I can pay back $125,000 a year, then I want to, that's what I want to do. I want to make the stabilization fund back to where it was supposed to be as soon as possible.
I'm just saying, it would be nice if that was executed, done, you're not taking that 100 before you go into that next truck. Because you're saying you have another replacement from 4 years from
So
now.
what Chris is saying, I don't want to speak for you, is that he wants to make sure that this truck is paid off before we go for engine 2.
Yes, I believe if you look on
And
on
I think
that
that's what
list,
this is saying
it's on
here.
payment,
So it'll be done here for fiscal year 2027.
so it's right here. So fiscal year 2026, yeah, there'd be a $100,000 payment to the stabilization fund and purchasing.
And purchasing.
So if we
And
do it in 5
purchasing.
years, I
I would
understand.
just like to say we had a plan, that we're paying this off, and we're starting this, and that's our projected plan.
So if we do it, if it was, instead of 100, it was $120,000 a year.
I'm not saying not to
that-
go 6
No, I'm
years,
saying,
I'm just saying-
that would meet your that would meet what you were looking for. So it was 120 a year for 5 years, that would be the 600,000.
Those are gonna be your biggest purchases, so it's
Yeah.
a
The
good way.
fire
to-
apparatus are the biggest
Well,
ones.
it's a good way to have a
Absolutely.
plan going forward, that you know you're getting there.
Right.
Okay.
My only concern was over the years, and I agree, that's really what that account should be for.
Yep.
We've dipped into that over the years.
We have.
You know, for whatever
But
expenses.
Tim keeps
So-
good records and
so-
he has the
so
balances, so.
we bought we funded half of the police and fire department's radio network
That's
a
correct.
few years back.
That's right.
When we were in a crisis mode, we didn't have
Okay.
enough money. I'm like, you know what?
So we're good there.
Take 225 from the EMS account, and that's, in 5 years, it becomes a
All right.
capital project problem.
Great.
Okay.
I think I'm all set,
got you.
only because
That's
I
where- and
want
that's where it
to
should
have
be,
this
too.
meeting
Right.
done in an
I
hour,
agree.
so we're.
That's what I want to use that fund for. I mean,
I agree. I
you know.
agree there.
Well, you're lucky you have a fund in your department that
Right.
gives you abilities to
That'll fund it.
Well,
do this, so that's good.
Okay.
It's
I'm
not
good.
my fund, you know,
No, I
it's the
get it.
town's
It's all good.
fund. I just try to manage it,
I-
you know?
Very good.
All right.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Thanks, Tim. No,
Thank you
that was
very much.
great.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks for all the information. That was very helpful.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you have 2 things on the docket.
Right.
All right.
Any questions?
No. They don't speak up. They don't get anything.
I don't know if they're still there.
They're still there.
Yeah, we can look at the cruiser one first.
All right,
if
let's
you
do
want.
the cruisers.
Okay. The back of the section, you'll see we developed a 10-year cruiser plan, starting in 2020 to replace. We also have all the cruiser maintenance mileage. We have partnered up with the DPW. We use their mechanics, so it's quite the collaborative effort there. Saves the town a lot of money. We track all the maintenance, all the costs, and when the cruisers get old and they're no longer reliable and they're starting to cost too much money, that's when we look to replace them. We are looking to go with the new hybrids this year. Ford came out with them a year ago. From what I'm reading, they're a pretty reliable vehicle. If you look at what we started tracking this year along with the town administrator, it was the cruiser engine idle hours. Ford came up with a calculation for every 1 hour of engine idle adds 33 miles to your car,
I heard that.
wear and tear. With the hybrids, they'll shut down when the cruisers are sitting on the side of the road.
Is that still an SUV?
Yes.
Yeah.
Still an SUV.
What's the additional expenditure?
They're about $3,100 more each. I put in the cost estimate between the two.
Probably save that in gas.
Yeah, I imagine you'll save that.
When the gas model's 54 and change, and the hybrid is 57 and change. And we're looking for two, they come off the state bid list, there's no procurement laws or anything that we have to worry about.
And this is just a normal request for these?
Correct.
Okay.
Like I said, we broke it down over the next 10 years, what we will be needing. And that's provided that we don't have any unexpected accidents or anything like that.
Right.
We're insured. All new cruisers are now on replacement value. So if the car is totaled in the last year of its life,
Oh,
we get a new cruiser.
oh, okay.
So whether the cruiser costs $57,000 then or $65,000 then, we get a new cruiser.
If what happens?
If they smack up a cruiser that's now,
That's
I've changed the way we insure the vehicle.
nice.
We have replacement cost.
That's really
So if the cruiser gets,
That makes the most
damaged,
sense, too, for
they'll buy me a new
police
cruiser.
Yeah.
vehicles.
I mean, the
Was that a
cruiser-
big additional premium on the insurance side?
No,
Yeah.
it was minor money.
No kidding.
And, you know, they're not driving the cruisers irresponsible, but in the process of being a police officer, cruisers get damaged. And consequently, we need to be in a
It's our best
position
estimate.
for replacement value.
Yeah.
I changed the insurance
It's a plan.
policies to, but I
Plans are
can't put it
good.
on old vehicles, I can only put them as we go
Right,
forward.
right. Smart.
The ACO vehicle you see in the maintenance shop, we just purchased a used pickup truck for her, and we're getting it leaded now. So we'll be getting rid of the old ACO vehicle, which has
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of miles on it. It's not road safe to go on the highway.
All right. Okay.
We've been pretty consistent with this, so pretty cut and dry.
We have a plan.
All right.
Important thing.
Next,
Next is the tasers.
tasers.
Looking to purchase 12 tasers, which will let me outfit every officer with their own taser. We're buying 2 extra because our goal is to get 2 additional officers put on, and then I'll have them for those 2 officers. Right now, we run out of tasers. When I have guys on details, working the shift, or if my SWAT guys are out, I'll run out of tasers and I won't have enough for everybody. If you'll see my little write-up on how many lives tasers have actually saved, injuries. Mental health calls have gone through the roof lately, and it's a great tool to de-escalate it without any lasting injury. A lot of times when an officer encounters somebody who's already been tased once, they usually don't want to be tased twice, so they comply.
How often are you using a taser?
Last year we used them 11 times. We only had to deploy it actually once. It was pulled out, we track it. It's part of our use of force tracking.
So it only physically used it one time?
11 times, and we only had to deploy it once, correct?
What do you mean deploy? Oh, you used it once, so you
Right.
pulled it out 11.
And then they comply.
Really too curious.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
And that, is that a bid list item, or is that a? how's
Is that a
work?
normal, yeah, is that a normal thing to have everyone outfitted with?
Yes,
Yes.
It is? Okay.
it's on the bid list.
It is. It's pretty cut and dry.
Okay. I don't have any questions. You guys have any questions?
Yeah. So they're essentially like $1,600 a piece
How long do they last?
in years?
10 years, ours have all,
What do they come warranted as?
I think it's 4 years, and we've already shipped them out, and they send them right back. It's pretty quick.
So what about the existing ones? Do you have a plan for those? The
We've
existing
already
ould
replaced a couple over
Okay.
the years, so they,
So
we're
is
looking
that
at-
like
we have
a
at
car
least-
replacement type of thing?
we have at least
Schedule?
7 years out of the ones we have left
Okay.
right now. So I'm not.
Basically, if you deploy all of them,
Yeah,
every 10 years you buy new ones.
okay. All right.
The only thing we have to replace usually is the battery and if they're fired, the probes.
Yeah.
It's minimal cost.
Makes sense. I don't have any questions on tasers,
Good.
which is
That was easy.
weird.
Sure was.
All right.
Put it on TV?
Any questions?
I think those guys.
They're watching TV.
I'm good.
Okay. They're still there.
All right.
Still there.
The most important thing you want to remember, this is remote participation.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right, so next steps, we have, the school can come next week on the 25th. Yeah, 25th. Another quick meeting. The one thing I did want to ask ahead of that meeting is, has there been any communication? In the past, I know there was communication to everyone on the level of purchases, like for cap requests. Do you know if that's in writing anywhere?
Dave?
We moved it up
What's the question? I can hear it.
at one point.
It's on the form, actually. It
To-
has a cost of $20,000 or greater, and has a
$20,000.
useful life of 5 years or
Okay.
more, and can be bonded.
Yeah.
So that's on the form, and yes, it has been communicated.
Yeah,
Just a,
Yeah,
looked at
that's
one
the
point
new
from
way.
10,000 to
We
20.
raised that a year or two ago.
yeah, I just was curious because I know that the school has some requests out here that don't make that. There's 2 requests, so I'm wondering why they made those specific requests. One was for radios and one was for a video processor. So I guess we'll just get more information on that next week, as they have several requests. So what I'd like to do in reality is, if the school could come in, do their presentation for next week, and then us take a vote. I know we're getting to the point where we need to vote and figure out what we want to do for the town meeting, to be prepared.
That's fine.
So.
We'll be ready.
Okay,
Just a little
So-
feedback, goading. I did have some issues at my end where about every 2 minutes the audio would cut off for about 30 seconds and it would say connecting to audio. It happened way less when fire was presenting than when police, so I'm wondering if how far away the speaker is from the laptop has to do with that at all.
I don't know why that would happen, because I didn't touch anything, so.
he's saying maybe because he's further away.
Oh, you know what?
maybe,
The
yeah.
chief, the police chief was further away
Yeah.
from the computer.
okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So for
Okay.
next week,
Good
we
to
can,
know.
we
I'm gonna
can,
get a
just wanna
remote
mention that for
microphone
future
and a
meetings.
remote camera,
yeah,
so.
that sounds great.
This is the very first meeting that we've used that on, and the 2 deficiencies I see is a remote microphone and a remote camera, because the laptop is facing Michelle, and I have to move the
Right.
laptop, and you don't get the full picture, and I think we can come up with a camera with a little bit more of an angle,
Okay,
and I know that we can get better microphones, so let's do that.
No, I just wanted to mention, it was, we could hear it just cut out every couple, so.
absolutely. Let's get that fixed for next week.
I think
We'll probably have a lot of,
from a first try, other than the fact that
Yeah.
I had to use Ryan to get me started, this is good. so.
yeah. No, it worked out, it's gonna work out great, especially when we have to take votes. So if folks aren't comfortable coming in, that's fine, but we can take folks. So if folks could just take a look too and just see, for next week, what, items they really want to, because, we do have only a finite number of money, and we do have to not approve everything,
Do you know
so.
what those monies roughly are?
Million.
Yeah, so we have,
Still
a
in the same
million,
number.
but, there was some plans that John Haynes talked about. There was, plans tonight with the fire chief. So I think maybe we kind of need
You want to
to,
go back to the form I gave you originally? It showed you sources of funds.
Yeah, so it's a million that doesn't come out of stabilization funds. So the ambulance, the water fund
exactly,
pay their own.
exactly, and that's what this sheet says, so. But we still have to
Get it?
pick and choose.
And then, of course, and
Based on
obviously,
need.
we're recommending to the finance committee a method of financing. Goes
Right.
to them, and they decide what they want to do,
Yep,
so. But I think I thought Tim's plan was very creative.
yes.
And I think that right now, we're not getting much on our investments, so, and probably less today.
Probably gonna get
Yeah.
even less
So,
going forward.
the idea of going out and borrowing money when we have money to use for this, I just don't want to do it. So,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I always recalled when we were on the finance committee, there were a couple of years that we always seemed to rely on the ambulance account.
Well, that's why I just wanted to make sure, and I know Tim does a great job, but I just wanted to make sure that, he had, the numbers down that he could see, and he does right here, of balances and how he was gonna pay it back. I like his plan. So, anyway. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second? Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
So-
Thanks,
so-
everyone.
so
Thank
Mar-
you all.
so March
See you on Wednesday at
25th.
6 o'clock.
Sorry?
No, next Wednesday at 6 o'clock?
Yes,
Next Wednesday, 6 o'clock.
yep.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.